The Pirates exhibition at the National Maritime Museum starts with the pirates you're probably most familiar with: Long John Silver, Captain Hook, and Jack Sparrow. It goes from these fictional rogues that have shaped our concept of what piracy is today into the history of the pirates themselves, focusing first on the golden age of piracy, particularly around the Caribbean, then taking it international, and finally looking at piracy today. Objects on display include memorabilia from those fictional accounts of piracy, as well as objects from ships, weapons, maps, and images. The biggest thing that I took away from actually was just how Eurocentric the concept of piracy is. Throughout the exhibition, they have a series of moments where you can pick up and listen to experts speaking, one of whom was a woman who teaches in the area of the Caribbean. And she talked about how they really don't discuss piracy at all because they don't see it as part of their history. It's part of European history. And having had that idea presented to me, I then noticed that the international section on piracy actually struggled to find non-European pirates. The individuals that were focused on within their own cultures would not necessarily have been considered pirates. They might have been rebel leaders, for example, against European colonial oppression. In spite of this extremely masculine, Eurocentric history, though, there's been a real effort made to diversify the stories that are being told. They talk about female pirates. There's also a lot of focus on those who were not necessarily heteronormative. And secondary levels of interpretation have been provided, drawing on members of those communities to try and pull out those stories in particular. I did notice a slight tendency, even within the historicised section, to romanticise pirates. For example, the capture of two female pirates who were apparently particularly vicious was described as unfortunate, which I don't think any of their victims would have agreed with. Although the idea of a pirates exhibition would definitely appeal to young people, this one isn't necessarily particularly for them. There's a children's layer of interpretation available throughout, but in spite of the theatre and the drama in certain places, I do think that young children would struggle. That being said, for those who do have an interest in those fictional pirates and want to find out more about the actual individuals and a wider range of individuals than are often discussed, I do think this is worth going to. These people left short, brutal, and often unpleasant lives, but the level of detail here is really incredible if you want to delve into things. There's an awful lot of opportunities to go beyond the surface level of text and find out more.